Hello, dear ones. As you remember, I'm Reverend Kristen Grandon, and I am delighted to be with you, the Unity of Fort Lauderdale community members, on this eve of All Saints Day, which is Halloween. Halloween, happy trick-or-treat day. Many of you probably have great memories of this day, as I do as well. As I think back into my memories, I have carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns and going trick-or-treating and putting on that very favorite costume that I couldn't wait to wear, and to go out and see grandparents and friends and family. And perhaps you have memories of lighting bonfires or doing apple bobbing at parties or playing pranks or maybe even visiting haunted houses and telling scary ghost stories. All kinds of interesting, fun celebration activities we have created around this festivity of Halloween. And I think it's kind of interesting that this is actually the eve to the Christian holiday of the All Saints Day, the hallowed day, the day where we remember those who have passed before us, who are saintly or who have been martyrs, or those who have been faithful in their lives and have departed. We've moved that holiday from the next November 1st to the eve of that holiday in all of these festivities, which I remember with great fondness, and I'm sure you do too. But I think it's an interesting metaphor for us to explore together here today, is how we have created the eve as the celebration and as a party, if you will, before the actual revelation of our true nature as divine expressions, saintly beings that are fully alive and expressing that nature of our divine selves. I remember when I was a little girl, my neighbor was having a party, and it was the most fun event that I think I had ever experienced in quite some time, or even ever as a child. It's one of my greatest memories. She and her family had created a apple bobbing area, and there was a cauldron that had all of this dry ice that would spill forth mystical smoke all over the floor. And we played games. She put a sheet out and had all of these bowls with different things in them. And she told us a story as we passed these bowls underneath the sheet, feeling all of the objects of the story that she was telling us about. And it was very fun. And I'd like to use this analogy of going to a party at Halloween, of choosing our costume, of playing our part, and of realizing the potential of that part in our time here together today. So what a world, what a party that we've decided to embody and incarnate into. We are in a time of extremes, of extreme pressures, of extreme changes, of infrastructures, adjusting to the pandemic, adjusting to the pressures of natural disasters that we've been through, and feeling the pressure of all of that, which could in and of itself feel like the darkness before the dawn, a sense of this Jungian archetypes of different characters that may be in our world, in our work world, or in our communities and in the world at large. And some may feel very dark or very threatening. And I kind of want to look at that opportunity of this party, of this play that we have joined together into in this time of the eve before the dawn of the light. Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, which is basically a place we go to find a definition of a word that we want to understand more deeply, defines personality as the sum total of characteristics that man or humankind has personalized as distinct of himself, independent of others or of divine principle. In other words, kind of like a mask that we have put on top of our true identity. The word personality, as used by metaphysicians, is contrasted with the word individuality. And feel this inside yourself, your individuality. It's the real being that is the realness of who you are. The personality, the mask that you put on, is unreal, the mortal, the temporal. The individuality is that which is eternal. So this mortal part of us is that which is governed by the selfish motives of the natural man, of this human participant in the party of this earthly life existence. Whereas we have entered into this world of light and dark, good and bad, Jungian archetypes that we play these parts. So what I'd like to look at with you here today is the selection of the character that we're playing here on this planet, to take a little more closer look at that and see what kind of energy we're bringing into each moment, to look at the experience we're creating and the possibility that might lie behind that experience. So without further ado, let's hop right in here. So what character are you playing? So when I was a little girl looking at connecting into this party that I was going to, I had to select a costume. And you and I have selected costumes, and Jung might call those archetypes, like I'm a mother, or I'm a wife, or I'm a worker, or I'm an emergency worker, or whatever. You fill in the blank. Those are our roles that we play. And we often identify as a personality within those roles as we've connected and collected different aspects of this is who I am. I am kind, or I am caring, or I am impatient, or whatever those statements are that we have collected over the years, the beliefs about ourselves that are becoming like a prism through which we shine the light of God, either clearly or a little more darkly. So our persona is this social facade, basically, the front that we put up in front of ourselves that filters out the I am that I am presence that is within each and every one of us. And I have become curious about what kind of energy am I bringing into this moment as it is unfolding. Is it an energy of faith, or is it an energy of fear? Is the energy expansive, or is the energy constrictive? Is it a consuming energy or a contributing energy? Does it propagate pain, or is it a heralder of healing, of peace? So I'd like you to pause for just a moment and kind of think about your own individuality, the nature of you that is within every cell, and then also that which you let out and bring into the moment of your life. Is it one of expansion? Just think of it as you encounter the expression of your own heart into this world. How do you let it shine forth? How do you let it be? What is the content of the consciousness that you're being here on the planet? And can you recognize that that is capable of shifting? That you could drop the mask if there is a place that you are constricting into a greater expression of the light that you are. Perhaps allowing someone to cut in traffic in front of you, or letting someone with only a few items go before you in the grocery line. To practice allowing the expansion of love to be expressed within your life in a real way, especially in these moments that seem so potently dark. Not that life is dark, but that it can seem that way at times. So are we open or closed? Are we loving or are we judgmental? Are we authentic and connected, or are we divided and distracted? And how might we become more aware of who we are being in the moment to expand and to open and to release out something that's much larger than what we've known before? I want to give you a couple examples because I think things really become real when we start seeing how it plays out, and they're both from my own life. Okay, so the first one is an experience of contraction. And I was in Mexico recently with my husband, and we were hiring a cab to carry us over to a new section of town that we needed to get to for a wedding that we were conducting there. And we realized in the duration of our stay there that he was charging us higher rates than what we would have normally been charged, maybe on street value. And so in my desire to surface that tension underneath and to bring in light or truth into the situation, I asked the driver about the difference in rate that he was charging us in comparison to the rates that we had heard should be charged to us. And what I felt in the moment as I brought that forward, I felt like there was a level of authenticity and, calling it out into the moment. But I also felt this sense of, like I was maybe disrespecting him in some way, or maybe there was a factor that was not being considered. But the energy, the sum total of the energy of that experience felt smaller, not expansive. And I offer that as an example for us today to look at how what we are bringing into the moment and how maybe it may create a sense of dis-ease or disorder or diminishment of another, which was not my intention at all for this driver, but just to be in a place of conscious clarity. So that's one experience. Let's put that one over here. The other experience was another one that I've recently had. Lightning struck our television, or at least a surge of energy knocked it out of service, and our television was out. And so I was looking at our warranties, and it was covered by a warranty by the credit card that we had purchased it through. So I was in conversation with the claims agent that was handling the claim. And there was a lot of documentation and proof of ownership, etc., all of that normal that would need to be done to claim the value of the television. And in the process of talking with this beautiful woman I never met her, I never saw her, and we only communicated on the phone, but there was a kindness. There was an understanding of the complexity of the situation that had to be complete, and the need of the organization to receive all the documentation, and just a patience that kept coming forward each time I would be connecting with this individual and providing the next piece of information. And what happened in that dialogue and that connection was a sense of complete understanding with one another, that she was doing everything that she could, that I was providing everything that I could, and that there was just this sense of coming together, of kindness, of respect, of understanding, of patience, of allowing what needed to be done, even though it took a long time. And in the parting of that conclusion, it felt as if we'd had a holy moment, that neither of us really wanted to leave the connection because there was so much kindness and so much genuine generosity of spirit that was present. And that feeling felt expansive to me. It felt alive, and it felt more than what the occasion was in the present moment. And I offer both of these examples to you to kind of feel into what is it that we are bringing. Is it a level of patience in these times that can be trying? And is it a level of expansion and allowing a spaciousness a room for one another to move and to operate and to complete what needs to be done, even though it may be taking a little longer than what we think it might need to take. How do we love? How do we show up? This is the third part of our we've got the story, we've got the persona, we've got the way in which we are showing up, and then kind of like bringing our consciousness to that. And let's lean now into the possibility. What might actually be possible for the space of what is unfolding in our life in this moment to become holy, to become, even on the eve, even in the darkness, even in the trying times, even in the polarization of our opinions, of those who we may have preconceived judgments around. How can we be a character and bring into the moment of this experience a lightness of love, a lightness that looks at things from a space of expansion and of possibility rather than constriction? One of the things I'd like to offer is the ability to look at what might be happening and recognizing that we're all wearing masks, that we differentiate ourselves from one another as actors, like a mother or a father or a coworker or a police officer or whatever role we might be playing, and recognize that there's an individual behind that role, that there is a light of God expressing through that role to some degree, some more than others. And to be able to look beyond the facade, to recognize the I am that is within them. So, like, let's use another example. So, distinguishing the actor from the act. If someone commits a horrific act and they are in jail, the mother of that being can still see the light of their son, that the true identity of this being, that they distinguished the act from the actor, that the love of that mother can still flow forward through to that son despite them having committed a horrible crime. Perhaps too, we can distinguish the act from the individual behind the actor in the role that they are playing, and recognize there's a capacity and a willingness to forgive, to let go. Jesus Christ taught us this as he was hanging on the cross in the midst of his own death. And he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." What an example of a teacher for us to follow. That even when things are not going the way we want, even when we're being charged more for a taxi, that we can find that spaciousness of forgiveness to let go of our judgment, to let go of the constriction, and to maybe just choose anew in a different way that allows benevolence to reign, and to let go of the desire for retribution or revenge or counter-aggression, to allow forgiveness to be the order of the day and to become the keystone of our consciousness, allowing us to become more expansive, more alive, more loving. So we recognize the actor from the act. We allow a grace through our consciousness of forgiving to open and expand us in the moment, and to not hold tight to that which is constricting. When we do that, we get to see that inner innocence, the inner innocence of the I am, that maybe the inner child of the one that we're dealing with. It comes into view. It allows us to soften our intention for retaliation or getting even within our interaction with each individual. Instead of closing and constricting around the event, we're allowed to open and expand into something that wasn't there before. There's a capacity within us to see all actions as a result of a multitude of contributing factors. Jesus Christ shared with us in John 13:34. This is the New Revised Standard Version of this quote. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You should love one another. We can do this, even in the costume of this party that we have come into with the masks that we wear. We can begin to sink down behind them and remember the I am that is behind it, the saint that will shine forth in the ongoing dynamic play of life. That we can love one another even amidst those occurrences that we have found constricting. So in closing, I would love to revisit the concept of Halloween, the eve before All Saints' Day, that as we are in the midst of this play, of this party, of our costume, of that which we have assumed in this earthly existence, that we recognize that they are masks, that there are behind those masks the light of God, the I am that I am, and that we can remember and recognize that there are the individuation of the divine spirit of the living God that is behind the masks of all of the players in this divine human drama. And that we can approach the party of this existence with conscious awareness, with an energy of forgiveness, with an openness to allow that energy of unconditional love, of patience, of kindness and care to flow through our hearts and minds through the masks that we wear, which will honestly reveal the dawn of the light of the I am that is within us into a holy moment, into a holy celebration of the recognition that we are all saints and that we are all able to experience that saintlyhood even on Halloween. So love and blessings to you. I am grateful for the opportunity to be with you. I hold the highest energy for you on this day, on Halloween, and for all of the community of Unity of Fort Lauderdale. Blessings.